Alright, so this is 8th in the series again today, right? And 8th in the series of machine learning, and moreover, about the first 7 parts we have talked about these many topics. Module 1, go ahead, revisit that, and if you'll think like, okay, this particular topic I don't know, just ask me. Module 1, Module 2, into this we talked about supervised, unsupervised, basic introduction. Module 3, linear regression, loss function, model outcomes. Module 4, then 5, then 6 regarding logistic regression and few metrics, confusion metrics and so. Module 7 about EDA and variance filters. Module 8 is yet to be done. Then module 9 we have did. Okay, so we are left with 8, we are left with 10, 11, 12, and then there are extras. Okay, even 12's half of the part is already done, the k-fold model evaluation and this entire train test split and k-fold part. This thing will be going to work on today. Okay, so let's head over to the module number 9, which I want to cover today as of now. Not 9, 10, the Snape bias and k-nearest neighbor. Okay, and I'll be starting with k-nearest neighbor. This is because it is a bit more of intuitive. You will develop your interest, and then we'll be moving on to the Naive Bayes part. Now, what is the meaning of k-nearest neighbor, and how this particular algorithm is working, what this algorithm is doing that others are not doing, and so and so. This is sort of thing which we're going to discuss. 8th we skipped. Yeah, exactly. As of now, we have skipped the 8th part. It's yet to be done. Decision trees and optimization of decision trees. 9th is done. 10th is remaining. So 8th. So till 7th we have done all, and then 9th we have done, and even the half of the 12th part is also done. The model evaluation part. Hyperparameter tuning will be going to work on. Coming on to it. So k nearest neighbor is again an all-rounder algorithm, as I used to say that a kind of regression classification, both of them is possible with an algorithm, but it is a classification all-rounder. That means the primarily task it will be performing is classification, and the second task, the inferior task, will be regression. But how it will be going to perform classification? What is so different about classification into this? The first model we have studied about is logistic regression, not linear regression, logistic regression about classification. Second we studied about is SVM. Okay. Third thing, today we'll be going to work about k nearest neighbor. They are also known as KNN. Okay. Now how does it work? Simply, suppose there are there is an auditorium into which a kind of workshop or session is going on, and there are 10,000 people in the college, right, from different batches, schools, or different domains, different sub institutions or so. In a single campus there are 10,000 students, and the auditorium has a capacity of 500 people. Out of 500, only 200 seats are filled. So this is suppose my auditorium. I'm just making it in a kind of graph wherein, wait, okay, so this represent my row, this represent my columns. Okay, all right. So now a bunch of people are sitting here, a bunch of people are sitting here, a bunch of people are sitting here, few here, and few here. So let's name them. This is 1, this is 2, 3. Did I forget? No, it's already shared. Is it shared to others or not? It's shared from my side actually. So Amar, something wrong. Please check that it's already shared. Is it visible to you as of now? He left. He'll be joining. Yeah. So is it visible to you now, Amar? Amar, is it visible now or not?
Yeah, it's visible.
Okay, all right, that's good. So we have this one first block, second block, third block, fourth block, and fifth block. This is what I was explaining, that there is an auditorium into which there are 500 seats. 200 of them are filled with some students. So students are sitting like this. Here some 25 students here. Okay, in this group we have clustered them. Some students here, some students here, some 50, 30, 40 students, whatever number of students, and some here and some here. So there are five. The students are sitting in five different clusters, groups. Now another student came, and the student went this side and sat here. Now these groups are accordingly the classes. So this is mechanical group, BTech mechanical. This is MTech group. This is CSC group. This is electronics group, and this is automobile group. Now another student came and sat here. What is the probability of this person? Like what do you think? Like this person will be from which group? Is this is a kind of electronic component or electronic students or IT student or mechanical or what? Any update? Group number two, whatever it was I guess MTech. Well, true. And why so? Why so? Group number two. That student is more nearer to 2. Yeah, right, exactly. So this student is more nearer to 2. Nearer means Euclidean distance. Right here we are talking about Euclidean distance. So if this, suppose that's simple enough, that we have a kind of graph of plots amongst age and height. Suppose age and salary. Okay. So there are few people who again even with the good amount of age are earning less, 10,000, 15,000, 20,000. There are few people who are earning like lesser age, lesser salary, student or interns or freshers also. There are few people lesser age but good amount of income, salary, revenue, whatever you can say, Mark Zuckerberg type of people. And there are few people like good amount of age, good amount of salary. Ratan Tata, Warren Buffett, Donald Trump. So these are the type of example. Okay. Now if there is a person who is plotting right, who is falling right here, something like here. Okay. This person is more closer to these group of people, multi-billionaire people with good, like with higher age group, not of the lower age, above 50, above 40 type of age group. So this is which we guessed with the Euclidean distance, nothing else. So how does KNN operates? It basically asks you for one thing which is n splits. Sorry, the value of k, n, k, whatever you will say. So suppose I'll take it n. Okay. What I said is I said that n is equals to 3. Now I have a graph into which there are different plots. So one of the class is red class, one of the class is green class. Alright. Now there is a point which is of yellow color right here. Now what will be going to happen is my model, the configuration I have written, the KNN, will be comparing this yellow plot with all the plots right here. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 red points and 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 green points. So there are almost 15 points. Like in total there are 15 points apart from this yellow one. So now this yellow will be checked for all the points. So firstly this, then this, then this, then this, then this, and then this, and then another one. Similarly right here as well. and a total dictionary will be maintained. That distance 5 units, point A1, distance 10 units, point A2, distance 2 units, point B1, and so on. Okay, now at the last, what will be going to happen is top n, this is the value of n, top n points, that means the shortest n distances will be kept, rest of them will be ignored. So these are the shortest three distances. Okay, whichever, like this one or this one, that doesn't make any difference. At last, after this, a voting will be conducted that out of 3, how many of them are of red class, which is 0, how many of them are of green class, which is 3. Okay, so this is how it will be conducted. Now, whichever team, whichever class will win the game, that means this point belongs to that class. Okay, with a confidence of 3 out of 3. That means total score of that class divided by total number of points. So this 3 is this one, which can be 1 or 2 or 3, and this 3 is this one, which will always be 3 until unless we will not specify otherwise. Is it clear that how does KNN is working? Amar, Nitika, Remjim, Ashish, Jaren, is it clear? Okay, I'll repeat it from scratch again once more. Okay. Yeah, I'll come to this part, that what is so special about this. Let's first understand that what this is, then we'll be going to talk about the comparison with SVM also, because for that thing we need to know, we should be very much confident about, okay, this is this algorithm, this is how it is working, so is it possible case or not, whatever we are discussing. So we have a graph into which there are some red points. Okay, so 3, 3, 6 and 1, 7. Let's make them 10. 8, 9, 10. Okay, so there are 10 points and there are 10 blue points. Alright, so all 20 points are there. Now there is one value of n, which is 5. Okay, and there is a point which is of yellow color right here. Now the first step is calculate the distance of this point to all the other points. Which distance? Euclidean distance, not Manhattan distance, Euclidean distance. I hope you know about what is Euclidean distance or Manhattan distance. Euclidean distance is something that there is a point right here and there is a point right here. So Euclidean distance will be something like this. And there are other forms of distance which are something like this or this way or this way. Yeah, Euclidean distance is more of displacement, you can say directed distance, shortest distance, and both of them have equal use cases. This is something used by Uber and Ola and cab services, because cabs cannot go like this. No, they cannot. Cabs will be going like this and then this, or possibly this, wherever the road was, something like that. Okay, so they calculate this distance, whereas we are not talking about Uber, Ola, or any other cab services. We are talking about the Euclidean part, because in the graph we can traverse from one point to another, there is no such limitation. So we calculate the Euclidean distance from this point to all the other points. Straight line difference. Okay, assume it to be straight lines. Similarly, all the points right here, every point, whether it be the farthest or the closest. Okay, first step we have done. What is our first step? Distance. Calculate the distance. Coming back again, what is the second step? Pick the top 5 distances only. Okay, so pick the top 5 distances. With top 5 means the shortest distances simply. In the ascending order, top 5 distances. So the first 5 distances in ascending order are this one, this as the first point, this as the second point, this as the third point. I guess this is the fourth, and this is the fifth, I guess. So well, what is in nutshell, everyone is blue, whichever, like it will be this one or this one or this one, whichever it is blue. That means out of 5, then a voting will be conducted. So this 0 for red, 5 for blue. So that means which team has won? Blue team. That means my this point is of blue class. Okay, is of this blue class with a confidence of 100%, simply by 5 by 5, with a confidence of 1, wherein this 5 is coming right here and this 5 is coming in denominator. That means this will always be 5, the value of n. Sometime your point will be somewhere like this. I'll talk about this later on. So this is a blue point with 100% confidence. Is it clear? Yeah, we need to decide this value. This is a hyperparameter, that's why I have kept it separately. What is 0 by 5? So 0, it's not 0 by 5, it is like this class belongs to 0, top 5, out of top 5 this team has 0 contribution and this team has total 5 contribution. So something like you have made the, suppose like the world's best 11 as the cricket team, okay, and then you are calculating, okay, England gave 3 players, or India gave 2 players, and South Africa gave 1 player, and Australia gave 2 players, and something like this. Top 5 exactly. So that's what I gave an example, that suppose how to decide 5, is it according to dataset or that thing I'll come up with. That thing I'll come up with. Okay, so Amar, I guess it is clear. But suppose you have to choose the best 11 players and you need to make a team of it out of the entire world of the all of the cricket teams. Then what you will come up with is like, okay, England gave 2 players, Australia gave 3 players, India gave 2 players, South Africa gave 1 player, and this is the way you picked up 11 top players from the toss board. So the contribution of India would be 2 by 11, something like this. The contribution of England will be 2 by 11, Australia will be 3 by 11, something like that. Alright, is it clear to everyone? I'll come to this 5 part, that how to choose 5. Euclidean distance, another one. Okay, I'll repeat. So suppose you are right here. Okay, I'll make a point. If the point is somewhere in the middle and 2, yeah, that thing I'll come up with, that thing, that part I'll be going to talk about. So you are supposed right here and you need to go right here. So this is your source and destination. Now, obviously, what Google Map will show you is something like this. Let's search on Google Map for something. Okay, so I'll be sitting in, anyway, let's take 2 places from Delhi. So I am at Hauz Khas as of now, suppose. Okay, and I need to go somewhere, and where I need to go, Schmidgate. Simple enough. Now when you see, it will take you all the way from road. This is a big distance, so that's why it's showing so much of. Let's take a smaller distance where you can see the integrity. Okay, so see, because of this is a one-way sort of thing, or so let's make it more sophisticated. Okay, so from this point to this point, you need to travel the orthogonal distance. Like you need to go there and then there and then there. You cannot go all the way from this to this point directly. No, you cannot even reach from this point to this point directly. You cannot even reach from this point to this point directly. You need to follow the road. If even this not wrong side or so, let's take it from this point. Okay, so this is the track you need to follow in order to reach this particular place. And the reason for that is the Google map, this 750 meters is the orthogonal distance. Okay, also known as Manhattan distance. But if you will go from this point to this point directly with the help of Euclidean distance, I don't think so it will be more than 300 or 400 meters, or at max of 500 meters. I hope it is clear that when you travel, you use this orthogonal type of distance that is being used in Google Map, and obviously Ola and Uber are using nothing else than Google Map, Apple Maps, or any other map, because you need to travel whether by road or by flight or by train or by anywhere. You need to follow some protocols. Even when you will be walking bare feet, you need to walk on the roads only. You cannot go all the way from rooftops. When you will be going with a train, you need to follow the rail track wherever the rail track will be. In my editor, okay, what can I explain it in my editor? Something like this. So suppose I have one point to another point. So one of the way to reach there is this part, and this is known as Euclidean distance, which is x2 minus x1, something like this. I'll draw the entire formula. X2 minus x1, because this point will be having some x value and this point will be having some x value as well, and this point will also be having some y value, and this point will also be having some y value. So these both points are a kind of representation with x to y. So x2 minus x1 square plus y2 minus y1 square. That seems more like Pythagoras theorem as well. And this is the root for all of them. This is what the distance z is, where z is this Euclidean distance. Okay, this is what z look like, and it is nothing different than a Pythagoras theorem. So this is because, suppose this is the triangle. If I'll make a triangle of it, okay, and this point is x. This is point 2. Let's take it 1. This point is 1. This point is 2. It will be having some x1. It will be having some x2. This is the x part. Okay. So suppose this x is 0. The graph is starting from here only. And the graph is going till here. So this x is 0. x1 is 0. In the case of y, so the graph is ending here. So y2 will be 0. This is point 2. So y2 will be 0. Okay. What I am having, x2 square plus y1 square. Okay, so x2 square. What is x2 square? Suppose this is 4 units. This distance is 4 units, and this distance again is, suppose this is 3 units. So what I got? 3 square 9 plus 4 square, which is 16, 16 plus 9 25, under root of 25, which is 5. So that means this z is nothing but 5. and which is clearly visible with Pythagoras as well. So 3 and 4, which will lead to 5 units. So the total of them will always be more than this diagonal. So diagonal will be a shorter path, which is not allowed. Otherwise, we will be going to follow this only. Is it clear? Amar, Nitika, Remjam, everyone? Yeah. Okay. All right. Manhattan is something. This is what we have talked about is the Euclidean distance, and Manhattan distance will be the distance which will be going to follow like in this roadways manner. So suppose you need to reach from here to Delhi. It seems like okay, Delhi is obviously from Jalandhar center to Delhi center. There will be a straight line possible. Not now when it was a clear land, but now there are roads constructed, and the road can take you left, right, left, right. That's it, and there would be sudden curves only. You cannot travel directly from here to Delhi directly. No, there is no diagonal path for this because we need to follow certain protocols, and this Manhattan part will be used. Manhattan distance will be used for those protocols, whether it be Google Maps, Apple Maps, or Uber, Ola, because they travel on road, and you need to work on Manhattan distance only. So what sort of distance they calculate is Manhattan distance. They are not concerned with the diagonal path. Okay, is it clear? All right. So now on the basis of Euclidean distance, our KNN is working. I'll not be going to save it. Our KNN is working. Now let's talk about there is another case. Let's clear it off a bit. Not possible. Okay, so I'll be drawing few more points. This is what my data set look like. Now the value of n is 5 and my point lies somewhere like here. Let's calculate when we'll be going to calculate the distance, and we'll be comparing all the distances. So we will find that this is the shortest, this is second shortest, but this is not third shortest. This is the third shortest, this is the fourth shortest, and this is the fifth shortest path. Suppose let's adjust with that if even it is not so precisely true, but let's adjust with that. So there is a point which is closer to these 5 points. Now this point is giving the score 3 to red and 2 to blue. That means which team have won? Red team. So this point is red with how much of confidence? 3 by 5. Confidence of this point to be red is 3 by 5, which is 66%. 60%, sorry. 60%. So this point is red and my model is 60% sure about it. When my model would be 100% sure? When all of my points would be red. All the close points will be red. And when my model will be more sure, obviously it is more likely that your results are true. This is how does you will get the value for splitted data set. So the point which is in between. So which point you can say is more precisely blue? This point or this point? So there's one point like here, this one. Okay, and there's one point right here, this one. So which point is more blue? Obviously this one, because it is more centralized into the blue region, and technically saying it is more closer to all the blue points. So all the closer points are blue only. There is no red close point. That's why it is 100% confident. The modeler or being a human, being a trained model, we are also 100% confident that this is 100% confident that this is a blue point. This is how does simple KNN operate. Now talking about that, what will be the value of n? So first of the thing is that it will be hit and trials type of stuff, and second thing, you cannot hit and try on almost all the things. No, the centralized value of n would lie somewhere like 3, 5, 7 or so, precisely to be 5 in major of the cases. And there is a protocol while choosing the value. Suppose there are two classes. Okay, so there is a red class and there is a blue class. What sort of value of KNN I can choose? Firstly, I cannot choose k value to be 1, that's not sufficient. Randomly any noise will be captured. I cannot even choose k value to be 2 because the data will be splitted this and this place. I cannot say the k value to be 4, 6, 8 anyways, because again the data will be splitted. I can take the value of k to be 3. So then if I'll take k to be 3, then one point will go there, one point will go there, and the other point might go here or here, and this will be the decision making point. I have drawn it in dash that either this part or this part. So if it will be going there, so this point has 1. If it is going there, then this point has 1. This is how you need to take. And suppose there are 5 classes. So I will be drawing 5 classes right here. So there is class 1, class 2, class 3, class 4, class 5. And your point is somewhat like here. Okay, so if you will take k value to be 1, again it will be accidental. It can pick accidental closeness. If you will take 2, then it can be a split. If you will take 3, again it can be a split. 4 can also be a split. 5 can also be a split. 6 can also be split, because 6 will be something like 2 here, 2 here, and 2 here. Okay, 7 is something which you can take. 8 you cannot take because it can again be a split part. 9 again you cannot take because 9 will be something like 3, 3, and 3. Okay, 10 again you cannot take, 2, 2 each, or 5 for 2s or so. So what are the possible values for this? 7. What is another possible value? You cannot take anything between 1 to 10 apart from 7. Apart from 7, yeah. And then 11. 11 cannot be splitted into this. Splitting as in evenly. Yeah. Splitting means that it will get balanced, which we don't want. If it will get balanced, the confidence will be 50% or something like that, or 20% for both of them. Now, if there are 5 classes and all of them are 20% equal, then which one will not be going to take? Why not 3? So why not 3? Because 3, sorry, 9. 9 will be like 3 here, 3 here, and 3 here. It will be possible to split into 9. We cannot take 10, we can take 11. So I'll be putting up 11 here. We cannot take 12, we can take 13. 15 is again not possible. 17 is possible. 19 is possible. Something like this will keep on going and going and going and going, and so. Why do we use split? It doesn't help in getting result. No, we don't use split. What I said is that suppose there are 5 class data. Okay, so in a graph, this is what my graph is. Okay, and there are 5 classes. One of the classes right here. One of the classes right here. Wait here. Another class somewhat here. One more right here. And one more right here. Now if there will be a new point of any shade, let's suppose of this black color, so there will be a new point which is equally closer to all of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So these are my top closest 5 points. Suppose. Okay. Now we are deciding what value of k should we take, so that there will be there will not be any kind of balance splitting. To what range can we take the n value? Whatever n value you want to take, you can. The only thing you need to face off with that is that you will be ending up wasting more space and more time into it. Yeah, it's a kind of situation, exactly. Okay, and you will really find that when you keep on growing and growing and growing the value of k, it'll end up showing you consistency, because at that moment of time there will not be any kind of stuff for that. We can not take even number. No, you cannot take even number at all. Even out of odd numbers, you need to choose them wisely, because if you'll take even number, it will be split into two classes. Anyhow, all the even numbers are possible. Like if you'll take any m number which is even, any number m which is even, so you can end up splitting m by 2 here and m by 2 here, or into any classes. So that's not a good choice at all. More of a prime number, yes, exactly. See, the number of classes you are having, all the numbers below that count. So these are 5 classes, so you can take 5 firstly. Okay, that again will be putting you on balance. You cannot take 4 because it is an even number and it will put you on balance. 3 2 1. More than 5, you can take anything, but which will not be a multiple of 2 3 4 or 5. This is what the simple rule is. So all the things which are not multiple of 2 3 4 and 5, like they will fall some or the other way a prime number only. Otherwise you will end up getting a big number, 100 or so. So because rest of the number will be more precisely multiples of 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, some or the other place. This is what the simple concept of KNN is. Is it clear? Completely clear? Now let's head over to implement KNN. So it's very simple to actually implement the KNN part. And how so? I'll be going to make a simple file KNN with sklearn.py. Desktop. Okay, so this is what my file looks like. Now I'm creating again a dummy data. You can create your own, you can load your data with pandas or so, but I'm creating a dummy data. X is equals to 5. Okay, let's make something like, I'm making 3 kind of classes. One class is of smaller numbers like 20, below 20, below 30 or so. One class is of intermediate number like 200, 300, and one class of bigger number like 1 lakh or so. So let's make something like 200, 120, bigger numbers like 650, 585, 586, whatever. Okay, and 700. Then huge numbers like 1 lakh, 20,000, 20. Okay, so some of the numbers I have taken. The corresponding y will be 1, 2, and 3. So I'm saying 1 for 200, 1 for 120, 2, 2, and 2, and then 3 and 3 and 3. This is what my simple analogy look like. So this is an outlier. Let's short it down. It'll create problem otherwise. Okay, so we have the numbers and we have the labels for them. Simple task from sklearn.logistic linear model import logistic regression. This is what we have done earlier. Let's see. Model is equals to, and I'm saying as m. Model is equals to m. Model dot fit x comma y, and I'm making something like x to be predicted. X which needs to be predicted is a small number 15, or let's make a better big number which will be closer. So 100, because 100 is not there in the data set. Another number which is suppose 755. Another number which is suppose 35,000. That's it. So these are the three. So it should be like 1, 2, and 3. Model dot fit, and then at last model dot predict for x to be predicted, and this is I'm storing in ypred. Print ypred. That's it. Simple with logistic regression. I hope I haven't committed any technical syntactical mistake. The name of the file is knn with sklearn. Logistic regression. It is wrong. Okay, I forgot to mention import. That's really great. Okay, and you can see that the predicted outcome is 1, 2, and 3. This is what we were expecting. If it will be like 755 and then 100 and then 35,000, it will be different. 2, 1, and 3. Alright, let's see how we can change it from logistic regression to KNN. Nothing else. Just change the import from sklearn.neighbors import k neighbor classifier. Just check with the case, small letter or capital letter. It's right there as simple as I have written that, and I'm saying as m because I'm calling model is equals to m. Cannot import k neighbors classifier. This is something precise you need to take. Okay, so it is saying that this class 100 is also the part of 2. What if I'll specify the value of k to be 3? Okay, it's not k which need to be specified, it is n, I guess. Still not true. Let's check it on Google. sklearn version of KNN. What is the sklearn version? Okay, it's n neighbors. I was missing this. N neighbors 2v3. I want to check for 3 neighbors, and it is highly likely that it will go equal split. So if it is going equal split, what can we do for that? We can make it bigger than 3. So 4 will not be allowed because there are 3 classes. 5 will be something which will be precisely allowed. So with 5 we are getting 2 to 3 as a result, because this model is stating that this 100 is more near to class 2. Let's see how. So what I'll be going to do is I'm splitting my data from matplotlib dot pyplot. So matplotlib import pyplot as plt dot scatter. What to scatter? I want to scatter first 3 things, first 2 things, 0, 1, 2, yeah, first 3 things. So first 2 things, my bad. And similarly y first 2 things. I want to say the color to be R. This is my class 1. Similarly, I want to scatter something from 2 to 5. G and color B, which is 3 onwards. Sorry, 5 onwards. And one more thing I want to plot is plt dot plot, sorry, scatter. What to scatter? X pred and their corresponding y pred with the marker to be of star, color to be of black. Suppose I'll say yellow. So this is what my points look like. 0 is there, sorry, class 1, class 2 and class 3. because there is 0. The class 2 are having numbers which are 1, which are 650, 586 and 700, almost closer. And then class 3 is 10,000, 20,000, 60,000, approximately like these values. And what I have checked for is 35,000, that is precisely class 3. Another thing I have checked for 100, which is class 2 it is saying, but it is not class 2. And why it is saying class 2? The reason is 650, 586, 700. It's taking all things to be like class 2 itself right here. Let's shorten down the scale. 200, 120, 650. Let's make them thousands. Okay, so something like this it's showing up. So first 2 points are almost closest to each other. Then there is a green point right there, and precisely there should be 3 green points. And then at last I'm having 3 blue points. 2 of them are right here, and so this is what it is showing up, the graph part. That how does KNN is operating, because the Y part was nothing but the label only, that this is class 1, the class 2 and class 3, nothing else. It was a single dimensional graph. Only the x values were used to determine the class of any particular object. Okay, so is this KNN completely clear to all of you? When you took 3 as n, why it was showing 100 to be 1? Because at that time it was comparing it to 3 elements. Okay, or simply it was taking all the top values but just reducing it to 3 numbers. So it was taking in the later on step only 3 shortest distances, and as far as those 3 distances, 100 was coming in the prior most list. The class for 100 was 1, but when it took 5 distances, then the class of 100 has again shifted to 2. Might be 2 has more weightage when there were 5 points, something like this. Yeah, the value is highly likely to change. The reason for this is, again I'll come to the graph part. So I have a graph. Something wrong going on. Okay, so there is this class of pink shade right here, and there is another class of greenish shade. Okay, so I am calculating this point. Now, which are the top 3 distances? This. Wait. Something wrong with my mouse or something. Okay, so suppose I am calculating this particular point. Now the shortest distance seems to be this one. What's going wrong? Second shortest distance will be this one, and the third shortest will be this one. When I will take n to be 3, then the majority of the classes will belong to green class. But when I take n to be 5, then fourth distance is this, fifth distance is suppose this. Then the value has the majority has shifted to pink, because 1, 2 and 3 distances on the pink class, and on the other hand 1 and 2 distances on the green class. That's why it has been shifted to the pink as of now. But when I have taken 3 as the value of n neighbors, then this distance and this distance was not countable. Is it clear, Jaren? Any doubt into this entire KNN, k nearest neighbor? Now, when do we need to use KNN? See, KNN, as you saw, that there is nothing like best fit line, best fit plane, separation plane into this. It is always dynamic. That means there is no model training into this. Whenever you will run KNN, it will run for all the points. You cannot erase the data for this KNN part. You need to keep the data, and this KNN will be running for all the points right there. Okay, so KNN is not something scalable model. When you have high quantity data, you cannot use KNN. Whereas when you have low quantity data, you can use KNN. When you have some 30 points, 40 points, 50 points or so, you can use KNN, but you need to waste a bit more of extra time than simply a model call. But on the other hand, with that cost of timing, it is giving you the result of involving each point into consideration. Yeah, that's what I was discussing, Amar. So if the answer will change while increasing n value, so how will we come to know the value we choose we got is accurate or not? So you can simply check for the score. See, when we check our model, we check it on X test, and for the X test, we already would be having Y test, the corresponding Y test. And if we have the original answer, accurate answer, and we are getting an answer from model, so we can evaluate that, okay, with the model value to be 7, how many correct answer model has given, and with the value 5, how many correct answer the model has given, and so on. That we can check with model.score or with confusion metrics. So we have already talked about a lot of metrics tools to evaluate our model. That's not a problem at all, right, Jaren? So I was discussing that only, Amar, that when do we need to use KNN and why to use KNN? When we have shorter data and we want all the data points to contribute into that decision. See, when we worked on SVM, it has taken only the last from this class and first from this class, something like this. It has ignored all the other point from here or to here. It has been ignored. But in the case of KNN, you are considering each point while making the decision. This is the beauty of KNN, and that's why it doesn't allow you to delete the data and work on the model itself. No, it doesn't allow you to do so, and hence it is not a scalable model. KNN is not a scalable model. It is just a model which do exist. You should be knowing of that, and it is actually useful when you are working with shorter data, and it gives you comparative more precise results than SVM, more precise results than SVM. But it is highly likely that it will be, you can say, understand the noise as well. It doesn't treat outliers so well. It might capture noise as well from the data. That's all the things related to KNN. Any other doubt? Okay, so what do I mean by capturing noise? See, I have a point right here. So I'll just do some undos. Okay, so these are the points, pink and this greenish. Just ignore these. and one of the green point has actually turned out to be at this place. That's an outlier. There is always an exception. Whenever you do something, there is always an exception into that. Okay, and there is a green point, pink point, corresponding pink point, two pink points right there. Okay, as the exception. Now, when you train a model, when even there will be a point like here of any other color, you will end up saying that pink or green, you will be confused with that. So KNN doesn't handle outliers so well. Whereas in the case of logistic regression also, the clear fit line is this. They will ignore these 2 points and they will ignore this point as well. It will not be making any line like this. No, this sort of line will not exist. Okay. It has a tendency to take all the data into account. Yes, exactly. It will be taking all the data into account. So the best fit first concept. No, best fit is nothing into KNN. It will take Euclidean distance and that's all. There is nothing like best fit into KNN. It is not a trainable model. It will be like you cannot train the model and discard your data. All the time you will be working on the model, you need to have the data along with you. It will be comparing everything on live. When it is used, actually precisely saying, it is not highly used into the commercials. It is just an algorithm. Obviously it's an older, bit more of older algorithm. Obviously linear regression, logistic regression which you have studied even are not much into use. The things which are into use are from the deep learning classes. So it is not much into use, but you can use it for simple smaller purposes when you have small amount of data and when you want to involve all the data points into account. When you know that every outlier is intentionally created or intentionally there and you want to put them into account while making any decision, then you can use KNN. So that's what the thing is, that in order to learn machine learning you need to know this thing only, that where to use which sort of algorithm, and that is it. How to apply the algorithm is something you need not to cram. You can refer Google anytime and it will give you the syntax. Even I referred Google for this NNeighbors part. sklearn has good amount of documentation for this. I forgot that whether it was N or K or NNeighbors or what, but it was NNeighbors. I get it from Google. Moreover, tuning the hyperparameter will be going to study in the next class as well, when we will be going to talk about this grid search or randomized search right here in module number 12, I guess. Yeah, so module 12 hyperparameter tuning. In that time we'll be going to search about grid search and randomized search as well. We're going to talk about them. If some of the point of red accidentally is in green and some of the green is in red, while calculating nearest distance on green side, red accidentally came into account. Yeah, exactly. See, there will only be few limitations, right? So you are having two pink points on the green part. If you'll even take a green value here and you'll say, okay, this is the first point, this is the second point, and this is the third point, and this is fourth, and this is five. So out of five, only two are pink, rest of three are green. Again, this is a green point, but with lesser confidence. That's the thing actually with which outlier just ruin of the data. So this is the thing you need to handle in your data science perspective. You need to remove these outliers or you need to treat them wisely before passing into a machine learning algorithm, so that will not behave unexpectedly. Yeah, it is highly required. Data science is highly required. Data analytics and pre-processing, you are just preparing the data, cleaning the data, staging the data. That's the correct term to pass on to the machine learning or deep learning framework. Not removing the other side values. There are actually a lot of things which need to check. It's like When you repair a car, you don't just check. Suppose I came to you that okay, suppose I came to you that Jerry, you need to treat the engine of this car. So you will not just look at me because I am not the mechanic. You will make your satisfaction by checking all the 5-6 things related to engine, whether my brake is fine or not, whether my engine oil is fine or not, whether the petrol is there in the car or not. Because I don't know what is engine oil, I don't know what is the brake, um, how to check the brakes also. If anything is not working, for me it is engine which is not working. So being a mechanic, you do all things, and there is not only one checkup, there are a series of checkup, a list of checkups which you will make. Okay, and similarly with the data science perspective, although you know that the data is clean, but still you go for some checkups, this checkup, that checkup, this checkup, that checkup, and so on. Let's list of checkups. Into them, outlier handling is one of the part. Because the person who will come to me saying that this data is perfect, obviously that person is not data scientist. Okay, and if that is perfect for him, might not be perfect for me, so I'll go for my satisfaction, then only I'll be able to pass it through my machine learning engine. When you go to doctor, the doctor will not listen to you what medicine you need. The doctor will do all the sort of checkups and then prescribe the medicine in his or her own way. He'll not listen to you, just give me this medicine or give me that medicine. No. Okay, so should we move ahead to the next algorithm? Yep. Alright, so removing all of this, another algorithm I will be going to talk about is Naive Bayes right here. Okay, so Naive Bayes algorithm. It's mentioned as old school existence. The topic name is itself like this. So K-nearest neighbor, Naive Bayes, it's not much into consideration these days. When there were no machines to train SVM or so, then they were in use. And when SVM and all of them has grown up, this has been vanished actually. Now Naive Bayes is something I'll be going you into giving you intuition again. This is not in use, so we'll not be going to dive much into depth with them. So this algorithm, what will do? There is a column, there is another column, there is another column, and there is a label. I am drawing label with blue color or whatever color this is, somewhat sea green type of. Okay, so these all are features, and right here it is label. Now what Naive Bayes will treat, it will say that this algorithm, this feature and this feature, these all features are not interrelatable to each other. There is no correlation amongst them. What does it mean? Suppose there is age, there is a weight and there is a height in order to calculate the body mass index. So we know that height and weight are correlated, age and that this particular column has nothing to do with this column, which has nothing to do with the third column. That is what Naive Bayes will be giving you. And Naive Bayes work like the simple probabilistic equation, base equation we say, which is something like the probability of A to occur when B has already occurred is the probability of B. Wait, I need to draw a bit more shorter version, bit more small in size. So the probability of A over B, when B has occurred, what is the probability that A will also occur? So the probability is probability of B by A multiply individual probability of A whole divided by probability of B. Well, actually I have drawn this wrongly. It's not a slant line, it's a straight line. Okay, this is what the simple Bayes theorem is. And what does it do? It basically assumes that every column mentioned into our feature set is individual column. There is nothing to do with one column, has nothing to do with another column, and so on. And how to implement that? Just that sklearn is fair enough simple into model changing also. Just comment this line, make another import from sklearn.naive bias import. There are few types of naive bias. I'll be going to import categorical naive bias, categorical NP, SM, and no neighbors. That's it. Let's see. Index 35,000 is out of bound for access I and size 2. Wait. Let's not work on this. Okay, something like this is it. So the circles are original data points, whereas the stars are the predicted data point. Obviously there is no data, so we cannot talk about accuracy or so into this, but it has predicted it to 2. All the stars are predicted points which has been predicted as 2, whereas this should be 1, this should be 2, and this should be 3, but we are not talking about accuracy anyhow, because there are two things required into our machine learning engine, data and model, and out of both the two, both of them are actually lame. The model is also a lame model, and the data itself is a lame model. Data itself is a lame data. So we cannot talk about accuracy anymore into this. What I was expecting to show you right here is the structure of the model. So it's like from sklearn.naive bias import categorical NB as M, and I'm just calling M. That's it. Simple enough. That's how we can use naive bias. A serious warning: do not use naive bias at all. Just you should know that okay, this is something which exists, which used to exist in the Wayfire. Now this is you can use for the faster result, because it takes comparatively lesser amount of time on the scalable data. When the data will be scaled, it will be taking less amount of time. Okay, but when you will be going to work on quantity of data, you cannot actually take this model into consideration. Right, so go ahead, take your time, implement both of these model. I'll not be going to share you the code at all. Okay, and then let me know when it will be done. So you need to implement KNN, and then you need to implement naive bias. And please do not refer to the code at your previous files. Just don't refer to them. There will not be any sense of referring them back. Just write the skeleton again and again. There is a single skeleton. We are just changing the model name. That's it. So write the skeleton again and again and again and again. You will remember that. That will become your muscle memory, and you will not forget it anymore. So just write the skeleton by your own. Okay, and there will be any kind of confusions or so, you can ask me and let me know when it will be done. Okay, what particularly naive bias, Ashish? Can you precisely tell me? The code part or the syntax, like the logical part? Okay, I'll explain it in brief again. Wait. See, naive bias will be doing what? Naive bias is a naive algorithm, as it says the naive. Naive means the beginning, and bias because it basically relies over Bayes theorem, Bayes or bias. I don't know how to pronounce that. So this theorem, I guess it's known as Bayes theorem. So Bayes theorem you'll get it on Google. You'll read about the theory, because this is not going to be a mathematics class anymore. So we'll not be going to talk about how to build it on scratch or so. But this is the simplest Bayes theorem right here. I forgot to that when B has occurred, what is the probability of A to be occurring is probability of B when A has occurred, multiply probability of A divided by probability of B. This is what the Bayes theorem is. What is probability? I hope you know that already. So then on the basis of probability, we are making this algorithm Naive Bayes, which is doing something like that. All the columns, all the features into our data set. So suppose there are 3 columns and there is one feature set. So what we were doing in linear regression, we were calculating the weights for these columns. But now we are assuming that all the 3 columns are individual. What you have to do is you need to implement KNN and Naive Bayes on your system by your own, on any dummy data, without looking at back the previous files of code. Yeah, Riaz, I repeated that what you need to do is you need to implement KNN and Naive Bayes by your own into your system without looking back at the previous code. So you need to make a simple skeleton. Why I'm asking you to repeat the things again and again and again is that I want you that the skeleton will be perfectly comfortable to you. You know that how to make the basic machine learning skeleton, that X, Y, train, test and all of that part. That is what I'm expecting all of you to do as of now. Okay, n jobs is there in every model. What that n job will be doing, n job is basically setting up the number of cores for your processor. Suppose you have an octa-core processor. Okay, so that octa-core means there are actually 8 cores. Okay, now what you can do, there are 8 cores, that means you have actually thread to be 16. In every core there are 2 threads in general processors. So you are having a thread value to be 16. So with n job you can specify that how many threads you want to use. Thread is nothing but a kind of mini core, you can say. Core is a processor. Okay, within a processor there is a core, and within a core there are 2 threads. So if you have an octa-core processor, that means you are having 16 threads. So that means you can execute 16 processes parallelly at every unit of time. Unit of time for a computer is not a second or so. It is like 2.8 gigahertz is your clock speed. So that is the unit of time which is denoting the inverse of frequency. So within every moment of time, unit of time, the process can do 16 parallel processes. So with n job you can specify how many of threads you want to use. If you specify 2 or 4 or 8, it will be taking less number of time. The default is -1. -1 means all the threads. Okay, it's not just a part of VS Code, it is a part of every machine learning model, sklearn model. What we need to import for bias? It is from sklearn.naive I am writing the command here. .naive underscore bias import categorical NB. Sorry, it's naive bias. Wait, it's not naive BAYER, it is BAYES. Wait, yeah. Okay, and for KNN from sklearn dot neighbors import k nearest neighbors. Sorry, k neighbors classifier. Is that done? No, it's not required actually to work on the graph as of now. You can skip the graph part. That's not required. the data you are giving, I don't think so it's making much of the sense right there. Now what you are passing, let me just understand the data. Hmm. When you work on any more data set, you always try to put that into scaling. As far as KNN is concerned, now I'm talking about KNN, and what I can see is that your KNN is actually giving good amount of value. The KNN is giving proper values, right? You agree to me on this? Not truly for 1230, because your 1000 and 8000 are way more separate. Even your 700 is part of third group, so it shouldn't be the case. Should be having scaled values, equidistant values. Or for this you can, if there is such kind of values, what you can do is you can do something like the pre-processing, sklearn pre-processing, standard scaler or normalization, or any sort of scaling or normalization you can do with this. Then it will come down scaled, and then you can use, basically what scaling will do, it will reduce that down to the scale of 0 to 1. Now as far as the another part is considered, you gave the value of 122 with KNN, and what your question is, when n is equals to 7, both are same. Well, 333 is not something which should be taken in consideration. The reason for that is it's not good enough. And why naive Bayes is giving this, it's not naive BAIS, it is BAYES, first thing. Second thing, why this naive Bayes is doing this, giving this, because I told you already that this is not a good algorithm to be considered. Instead, SVM might has given you good amount of result, better than this rather. And KNN, when n base is equals to 7, it is giving you 333, because when you increase the size to be 7, because all the there are 7 points in your data set, so it will be comparing with all of them, and might be it is ending up with any sort of split. So what better you can do, instead of 7, you can try something, a prime number which is not a multiple of 1 2 3 4 5 6. Or better, there are 3 classes, so it can end up into splitting of 3 uh, 3 3 and 1 type of, and then at last that's why it's giving you 3 3 3 as the result. That's simple enough. When you put it on graph, you will realize that the most number of points, closer points, might be 3 if you're comparing top 7 results, because 7 is your total data sets. You got the answer or not? Like, you were able to figure it out or not? Okay, see, the data you are giving, when you plot it on graph, and do one thing, just plot that on graph on a notebook and find the Euclidean distance for all the points, and you will realize that the top 7 points out of, because there are only 7 points, so major of the contribution would be given by 3 if you'll compare from all the 7s. So major of the contribution will be given by 3. That's why your KNN is giving you the results of 333 right there. Just do one thing after the class, put that on your notebook and calculate the Euclidean distance. Yep. What about SVC? Now what you have made into this part is, wait, let me just check the data again. 700, 8000 and 1000. And then another part is 200, 340. Yeah, it's again it's just overfitting for the third class, nothing else. So again over tending towards the third class because you had given a lot of range into that. You have shown in your data that majority of your data from 1000, even from 700 to 8000, this big chunk of your data is a part of class 3, whereas 200, 300, 200 and 120 are part 1 and 340 is class 2. So this is something you have displayed with your data. You just put it on scaling, that will give you better result. Whenever you'll need to work on data, you need to stage them with scaling and again, a lot of tools obviously I said. So none of you have done that. Give me some response. Have you done that or not? Done with KNN. Okay. What about nearby? Just don't focus on accuracy or results also because this is not something you are doing for results. Okay. All right. Amar. You're just learning a skeleton, practicing on skeleton. That's something you should be working on. How to do with scaling with standard scaling? Nothing. Just search for sklearn standard scaler. You will get something like sklearn.preprocessing.standard scaler, and you can implement the min max scaling with them. All right. Sure. So Ramjim, done with both of them or not? Yep. So Riaz, you need to send me the files as I have told you as of now. That you need to send me a pickle file and a classification file, and all of you others as well. Ashish, what is the progress on your part? Execution errors. So what sort of executions error are there? Just send me a screenshot. That's good if you are it's appreciable that you are solving it by yourself. That's good thing. Just send me a screenshot what sort of error you are getting. Okay, okay. All right. So once you'll be done with writing it on paper, just send me a click of that. Yeah, so you can reshape the array if it is asking you to reshape that. You can. See. What it is saying that value error expected 2D array, but it got a scalar array. So we need to convert that into 2D array. Although it is already a 2D array, but it is looking out for a different shape with -1 comma 1. That means -1 means all the rows, whatever possible, and 1 means only one column. So it wants the array to be of one column only, just like our Y is. That's how you need to make the array for the scaling part. Just check on with Escalon's website. I'll just show you. Wait. This is how it is simply working out. So Rimjim, you are using unequal number of x and y. There are 7x and corresponding to 8 y's. So remove the value of 1 y from there. Just make it 7 7. Because in the environment of VS Code you are using, in that environment Matplotlib I guess is not installed. That's why it is highlighting like that. Whereas on the compiler you will be using that place it will be installed if it is working with that. Ashish, can you send me a code click of whatever you have written? Okay. What is the my screen? DLL errors. Okay. Alright, so DLL is something very much specific to Windows, which you can search on Google because I have not worked with Windows much. So DLL is something difficult for me to resolve, and DLL is something a kind of nightmare for me. One of the big reasons for which I have shifted to Ubuntu years back ago. So I'll be not able to resolve this error anymore, but I can search you for this. It's import error DLL load failed. The specified module could not be found. I'll just search for you on Google. I will be sending you a link. Check it on chat. Refer this Stack Overflow page. There are some DLLs which is it's asking to download you. See, if you really are serious about development, machine learning, deep learning, or anything, just shift to Ubuntu. Just don't stick to Windows anymore. It will not be going to work for the longer period at all. or else you can dual boot your system so that a part of your system would be using Windows and another part would be using Ubuntu for your college purpose, for all the things. Dual boot. No, virtual machine is something which is a good option if you are having high configured systems or so. It's better to go for dual booting. Like if even if you are having 8 GB of RAM, still don't go for virtual machines. If you're having 16 GB RAM or 32 GB RAM or type of system, then you can prefer to go for VM. But it's good to go for dual booting. Or else if you're confident about that you need not to come back to Windows anymore, then you can just erase your Windows and shift to permanently to Ubuntu. Okay, I got it from Ashish. You're having X, Y. Okay, to be predicted. Alright. So Ashish, the first mistake you have done is that into predicted, that should be double bracketed. The 50, 89 and 194 should also be bracketed. Second mistake is that it's not from sklearn.neighbors. It's the American English British English difference. NEIGHBORS, not BOURS, BORS. Import K neighbors classifier. Out of that, N should be capital, and it should be properly spelled. It is not clearly visible. Okay, from sklearn.preprocessing import standard scalar. It is not x is equals to standard scalar x. No, it is something like standard scalars object and then fit of x. Model is equals to kf. Okay, you have mentioned kf, fine. Neighbors equals to 3 model dot fit. Prediction is equals to model dot predict pred. Okay, print prediction. Yeah, something like this. This sounds cool, but there are few errors you need to resolve. Okay, so this was something about k-nearest neighbors and neighbors. In the next class, we'll begin to talk about a bit more of decision trees. The module number 8, which we have left, will be covering decision trees in depth, and then we'll be going to proceed further. Right. Moreover, just there are two extras right there into the syllabus. You can check it on the website itself that there are two extras 1 and extra 2. First extra is about connecting machine learning with Django, serving your machine learning model in a Django framework. This thing you can club up, or else you can go to extras 2, which is Azure Machine Learning Studio. So we can learn about, okay, what is Azure ML Studio and how to use that, what is the benefit and all of that. What is Azure ML Studio in a nutshell. So that will be a 1 day class, but that will be executed like a kind of KNN again. The more number of votes I will get for whichever one, I'll be going to teach that one. So 1 day you have a choice what you want to study, Azure ML Studio, or you want to connect your deep learning machine learning model with the Django framework. That's clearly your choice. I'll be asking the same question on WhatsApp group. Refer that for the syllabus, refer that for both of the modules. Make your decision wisely. Once I'll get the decision from any person, I'll not be going to modify that. And when I'll get the decisions from all the people, only one will be going for, because this is an extras one. Modules we have covered everyone. Then there is something like extras 1, extras 2 or so. So you can choose any extra. That's an optional one, whichever you want to choose for. No, exactly not. So Pickle is something you can use. Pickle you can use, but it is not advisable because deep learning model are not so simple mathematics as of the machine learning model. So serializing those model and unserializing those model doesn't make any sense. So for that there is something like model.save provided by Keras, which you can use as of now instead of using Pickle. Are there any apps that have used these algorithms? I didn't get your question. Are there any apps like? I think practically have these been used for obviously like SVM is highly used for MNIST dataset. Whatever we are learning, what is the difference as pros and cons? Okay, Jaren, I'll come to this question. Before that, Rimjim. So whatever we have discussed, these algorithms are actually in high use, whether it be linear regression or logistic regression. Logistic regression is something which is highly used into different types of algorithms. Okay, whether it be any like binary classifications or so, weather prediction, people are using ridge regression also into their model in some or the other way, not so simply, but in a complex way. But yes, these algorithms are actually in use. It's not like that whatever we have discussed is something which has gone to win. No, we are discussing those algorithms which are ideally in use. Naive Bayes is something which I can understand that it's not much into use anymore. KNN is still into better use case. I didn't get the question. What is the difference as pros and cons? Jaren, I didn't get the question actually. I'm unable to understand. The extras one and two. So there are two extras into this, one and two. Extras one is about deployment with Django. So what we have done, what we have learned, that will be going to connecting with the Django part. That how to connect your machine learning model to a Django model. Okay, that your machine learning model will be basically captured with an API of a website wherein you are giving the input from a website and calculating it on the backend and getting the output on the website again. So just like you are doing model.predict on a given number, that number should come from the web page, and the output of the model.predict should also go to the web page. That is what I'm saying. Okay. So this is something which we need to do from that part. What about Azure? Okay, on the other part, Azure Studio is a tool which is basically used highly for all the sort of cloud-based machine learning toolkit. So it is training. It is like a kind of series of steps which you can use, and that series of steps you can use for any sort of Azure development. So when you will use an Azure for your website, then you can connect that ML model into that website of yours. That is what Azure will be giving you. So ML Azure Studio is a kind of studio, an online studio for creating machine learning applications, which will be connected with the Azure. It's not paid. ML Azure Studio, it's not paid for the students for the trial purpose. We can just traverse that and work on that a bit. It's not like that it is entirely paid. It is paid, but not completely. I would be suggesting for Zangobard. Well, make your mind. Let's see you in the next class then about in which we'll be going to talk about decision trees and so, and let's meet there. Okay, take care. Bye bye. Anything else you wanna discuss about? Yeah. Okay. Bye.